Hello everyone and welcome back to another book review. Today I am going to be reviewing volume 1 of Komi Can't Communicate. So my sisters have been on my case to get with this series for a while. They love it. I've actually read the first 2 volumes in this series, but I didn't continue it because I got distracted by another manga series. So this time I'm forcing myself to get this series and see it all the way through because I am interested and excited to read it. So this is my second time reading volume 1, so I was a little bit familiar with the plot already, but I didn't want to skip this because I wanted a refresher. Volume 1 follows the main character Komi, but also the other kind of mainish character, at least so far, Tadano. So I'm hoping I'm saying his name correctly, T-A-D-A-N-O. Tadano has started an elite prep high school. He's excited about it. He wants to have a normal high school experience. He doesn't really want to be noticed by anybody. He just kind of wants to go through life. However, on his first day, he interacts with a girl named Komi. In fact, everyone interacts with Komi. That is because Komi is seen as the queen of cool. She's seen as above everyone. She's seen as kind of this godlike figure who is unflappable and no one can touch her and all the boys worship her, etc. However, Tadano realizes after being in a classroom with her alone, basically there was this miscommunication that everyone left, that Komi isn't the queen of cool, she isn't aloof, she isn't untouchable, she's actually super socially awkward and has trouble communicating with other people. Tadano kind of gets her to open up by writing. That's what they're doing here. They're writing on the chalkboard together. She has trouble speaking, but she really wants to make friends. She almost doesn't like this aloof status that she's gained because everyone treats her very reverently and not normally, and she just wants to make some friends like any other high school girl. Tadano is, of course, shocked. I feel like he's a little surprised by this development, but also he's like, okay, you want to make friends, let's make friends. And Komi is very moved by this, at least a little moved by this, and they're gonna team up and Komi's gonna make some friends. That is the premise of this series. Komi wants to make 100 friends in high school. Tadano's kind of starting out, I don't know how this series goes, but so far Tadano's kind of like her right-hand man sidekick who's kind of going to start this process and get her started, but I think Komi is the main star of the show and I'm excited to see how she grows. I like the miscommunication aspect, so I like the fact that her classmates think she's really aloof and not stuck up, kind of stuck up, but just cooler than everyone else, and that's why she doesn't talk, when the real reason is she wants to make friends. I think this series has a lot of potential for personal character growth on Komi's part because I think she can definitely break out of her shell. I think it's also a series that's going to introduce a lot of different characters. We already have a number of characters introduced in this first volume, which are potential candidates for being Komi's friends, some which do become Komi's friends. And ultimately, it's just a series where you want to see the main character succeed. You want to see the main character, Komi, get friends, have a fun time, enjoy life, experience all the fun things that come with high school, or just in general with having friends. Life is so much more fun with friends. So you want to see Komi succeed, so you're naturally rooting for the main character, and that makes the story way more enjoyable. Obviously, I feel like the first volume of any manga series, you're just getting into it. This one is better than most. I would probably give this one a 4-star. The author isn't falling in some of the usual pitfalls of writing the first volume in a manga series where they have to just drop a bunch of information at once and you feel overwhelmed, you feel like the plot suffers, you feel like everyone is trying too hard in the series to get their own unique style, voice, character out there. I feel like volume 1 of Komi Can't Communicate avoided a lot of those problems, so it was very, very well done, but I definitely see this a series where you're gonna have to read a couple volumes to kind of ramp into the story, and then you're really going to start enjoying the flow of it. I just find that normal for manga series, so I'm not really knocking it for it. It's a 4-star read. I love it. I'm excited. I actually saw that I did read volume 2. I had marked it as read in Goodreads, so I have read it. I don't remember a whole lot about volume 2, but I'm going to get it because I'm going to continue this series because my sisters want me to read it. I am reading it now. Get off my case. And I'm excited to see where the series goes. Obviously, I'm not giving up on Haikyuu. I still need to continue to read this, but I think I can read this at the same time as reading Haikyuu, and I'm excited to see where this story goes. If you have read this series or have any thoughts on this series, I would love to hear it. Other than that, thank you so much for watching, and I hope you have a great rest of your day. Hello everyone and welcome back to another book review. Today I'm going to be reviewing Komi Can't Communicate Volume 2. I read the ebook version of this, so here is what the cover looks like, and yeah, let's talk about volume 2. So Komi Can't Communicate follows a girl, Komi, in high school who has a communication disorder. So she struggles to speak with people. It's kind of like social anxiety. At least that's kind of how I'm understanding this. She doesn't really communicate well with others, and she has trouble talking or speaking, so she doesn't have a lot of friends, but she's determined to change this. So in volume 1, she kind of teamed up with a boy in her class named Tadano, who realizes that she's not aloof and stuck up, but she actually has this communication disorder and she wants to make friends. So everyone in Komi's class thinks she's like the queen because she's so cool and she doesn't talk to anyone and she's aloof, when really she just wants to make friends. So Tadano's like, I'll be your first friend, and what's your goal, Komi? Komi wants to make 100 friends. So Komi is on a mission to make a bunch of friends, and that is the premise of volume 2. So this volume, super lighthearted, super enjoyable. I read it when I was on vacation, and it was a perfect vacation read because I could just sit back in the hotel after a busy day and flip through it. It wasn't too strenuous to read. It wasn't too emotionally taxing. It was just fun and lighthearted. And we're starting to be introduced to a large number of her classmates, or I imagine we're going to start being introduced to more and more. So I imagine this number is going to grow, who are going to eventually, I assume, be brought into her fold of friends. This manga really strikes me as a character-driven manga. It strikes me as one where the characters are central because the plot isn't really deep. It's not like they are trying to attack a dungeon or discover this fantastical... There's not a fantastical plot. There's not a deep plot. It really is just she wants to make 100 friends. And there's not much else to the plot, but I think the characters are what's going to drive this forward. So we have Tadano. The cover of this has the 3 characters that I assume are going to be the main characters. We have Komi, we have Tadano, and we have Najimi. I hope I'm saying her name right. Najimi. And yeah, they're the main characters. And as I said, I think as the story grows, we're going to get more and more characters as Komi branches out and tries to make more friends. But overall, this was a very, very enjoyable next entry in the volume. We're kind of starting to get into the friendships that she developed or started in volume 1, and I think this is just going to continue. If you have any thoughts or opinions on volume 2, I'm continuing to read this series, so I have a lot more to read, and I'm excited to keep reading it. But if you have any thoughts and opinions, I would love to hear it. I have received some recommendations for this series, so I am reading this based on other people's recommendations, and so far I'm liking it. I think there's a lot of potential and a lot of places this can go, so I'm excited to see where the story goes. If you have any thoughts or opinions, please let me know. I'd love to hear it. Otherwise, thank you so much for watching, and I hope you have a great rest of your day. Hello everyone, and welcome back to another book review. Today I am going to be reviewing volume 3 of Komi Can't Communicate. I read this in the ebook format. This is what the cover looks like, and let's dive in. So I've been reading Komi Can't Communicate on the recommendation of several people, and I've been really enjoying the series so far. I had actually read the first couple volumes before, but volume 3 was the first one that I hadn't read before, so it was entirely new, and I was looking forward to reading it and seeing what it was all about. Komi Can't Communicate follows a girl, Komi, who has a communication disorder. She struggles speaking to other people and doesn't really enjoy talking, but everyone at her school has interpreted this to be aloofness and coolness, so she's actually kind of treated like a god/princess, but she really just wants to make friends. And Tadano, one of her classmates, understands that and recognizes that in her and reaches out to be her friend, and he becomes Komi's first friend, and now Komi is on a mission to make 100 friends. I think this is a super sweet volume and a super sweet series. It's definitely a character-driven series. The plot's pretty simple, just make 100 friends, but the characters are what really makes this special. So the characters are continuing to grow and deepen in volume 3. The big event in volume 3 is going to a festival. Komi wants to go to a festival, and she's finally starting to be able to do these things because she's reached out of her comfort zone and she has Tadano. We're starting to meet more people and she's starting to make more friends, but the core friends are the ones that she made in like volumes 1 and 2, which would be Najimi and Tadano and her, and I think they are my favorites so far. I think one of the reasons they're my favorite is just because of time. We've seen them for now 3 volumes, and as these other characters stay in the volumes for longer and longer, they're going to become more integral parts of the story and therefore be more interesting. But so far, Najimi and Tadano Tadano are still my favorites. There is another one that I think is going to be really funny. It's this girl. She actually is located on the cover right here. She's kind of going through a phase. She always talks about like darkness and wrath, and she's just a really interesting / weird character, but I kind of really relate to her. She almost reminds me of the main character in No Matter How I Look at It, It's You Guys' Fault I'm Not Popular. Not entirely, there are differences, but always just like that socially awkward, going through a phase that we all went through. And Tadano's super embarrassed because he went through a phase in middle school, so it's kind of reminding him of that time. And Tadano's trying to be super ordinary in high school, and this girl is just out there having her moment, having her thing. But I feel like we can all relate to that. We all remember going through whatever phase we went through, or we know people who went through whatever phase they went through, and it's just a relatable part of growing up and being human. So I think it's very sweet and enjoyable, and I like that they included her in it. So I think, I'm blanking on her name, I just remember her as the girl who's going through her phase, but I think she could play a really fun part in the next couple of volumes, and I'm looking forward to see how she is going, or how the author is going to take this series forward. Now, Komi and Tadano definitely have like a thing going on. Like, they both are starting to get feelings for each other. I think that's my reading into this series. So I'm excited to see where that goes, because I'm really excited for that, and I think it's super cute, and I want to know where this relationship goes. So I will keep reading. I'm really hoping to get the physical volumes. I'm trying to find the physical volumes, but so far I've been relegated to the ebook volumes. So we're working on it. I prefer reading my manga in print, so we'll see what we can do. If you have any thoughts on volume 3, I would love to hear it. Other than that, thank you so much for watching, and I hope you have a great rest of your day. Hello everyone, and welcome back to another book review. Today I am going to be reviewing, oh my, it turned, okay, volume 4 of Komi Can't Communicate. This is a manga series that I've been reading. I've been trying to get the print versions of these manga, but unfortunately I am stuck with the ebooks for now. So I read this in the ebook format, and again, this is volume 4, so I've already read volumes 1 through 3. So let's talk about this series. The main character of the series is Komi. She's right here on the cover in her gym uniform, and she is a girl with a communication disorder. So she finds it really difficult to talk to other people, to speak with other people. It's a very stressful experience. I feel like it's kind of akin to maybe social anxiety. So she hasn't been able to make a lot of friends, especially in middle school. She's now in high school, and some of her classmates, particularly Tadano and his friend Najimi, notice that she isn't aloof and cold and too cool for everyone, which is kind of the assumption her classmates have made, but she actually wants to make friends really, really badly, and they decide to be her friend and help her on her goal of making 100 friends. It's not a complicated plot, it's not a deep plot, but it is a heartwarming, lighthearted, fun read, and I've been really, really enjoying it. I think the characters are really going to drive this story forward, and so far they have been, because I have been loving especially Tadano and Najimi, but also Komi. I feel like she's a fun character. She's kind of funny, even though she doesn't say a lot. Her facial expressions, especially her eyes, communicate a lot, and I've been really, really enjoying it. So in this volume, we have a lot of character growth, or just character deepening, because I feel like the nature of the plot, her trying to make 100 friends, is kind of broad, and it seems like it's going to introduce at least a large number of characters. I think that the author is going to have to make sure every character stays unique, and we also get growth with the characters, so they don't just become a character who's introduced and then goes away. So I think that's something that the author is going to have to keep in mind as they write the book. So this volume had a lot of growth, or we got to know more about the characters that we had to know, that we've gotten to know already. So this volume, the author took some time to kind of continue the relationships that Komi has developed in previous volumes. This volume 4 takes place a lot when she's on summer vacation, and she doesn't want it to end for the first time. Now, I believe it is ended by the time this volume ends. I'm trying to remember, because I also read volume 5. And yes, so she's back in school by the end of volume 4, but for the first time in her life, Komi doesn't want summer vacation to end, because she's actually having fun with friends, which is something that she hasn't experienced before. And I think it's just lighthearted, fun, heartwarming, and it's the kind of volume that's really easy to pick up and start reading. It's a series that's fun and easy to start reading, but you can definitely see how the characters are going to deepen and the connections are going to grow, and they can get into more deeper or emotionally complex topics or things to talk about. I don't know. I feel like it can be very surface level at the beginning, but it's being set up to be a really good series, and I'm really loving it, even though it's surface level right now.
just because it's fun and easy to read and I'm really, really enjoying it. If you have any thoughts on Komi Can't Communicate Volume 4, I would love to hear it. Other than that, thank you so much for watching, and I hope you have a great rest of your day. Hello everyone, and welcome back to another book review. Today I am going to be reviewing Volume 5 of Komi Can't Communicate. I'm trying to get the cover pulled up. I read this in the ebook format, and this is what the cover looks like. So the main character in this series is Komi, a high school girl who has trouble communicating and talking to other people, and some of her classmates have noticed that and taken it upon themselves to be her friend and to help her make 100 friends, which is her goal in high school. So we're on Volume 5. Komi's getting out there, she's putting herself out there, and she's starting to gain a little bit more confidence to do these things because of her friends who are getting her outside her comfort zone, which is really cool to see. It's cool to see the character growth, and it's interesting to see where the story is going. So Komi's on this mission to make 100 friends, but the story isn't just her making friends, it's also her and her deepening relationship with her existing friends, particularly Tadano. I think there might be some growing feelings there, and it's really interesting to see how that's going to develop. It definitely feels like it might be a slow burn sort of thing, which is the kind of stuff I eat up when I care about the characters. I'm very particular about my romance. If I don't care about the characters, I'm not there for it. I'm much more tolerant of romance in manga than I am in normal books. Normal books, I don't know, other books, like, yeah, I don't know what you call them, other books, novels. I'm much more tolerant of it in manga, probably because I like the characters more. So I feel like we're on track to have a slow burn romance with Tadano, and I am here for it. But that isn't the main focus, again, because I'm guessing it's going to be a little bit slower paced. They're just starting to introduce that aspect of the book. And the rest of Volume 5 focuses on two mainstays of the manga genre, and that is our high school manga that takes place during high school, which is the cultural festival and maid outfits. For some reason, the maid outfits do not stop. Oh my god, people. Okay, so I might not be the fan who the maid outfit is designed for, so perhaps everything I say is because I'm not the target audience. I do not care about maid outfits. Nothing about this. I don't hate them. I just think they're just really ridiculous, and they slot into a, sorry, there's a squirrel that I just saw jumping between roofs. He's kind of impressive. You go, little guy. Anyways, the maid outfit I feel like is just it's a cliche. I feel like the author is just giving into the cliche, but perhaps he's just giving fans what they want, so I can't complain too much, but it feels like a cliche. I mean, she's in a maid outfit on the cover, so I kind of knew where this was going. I kind of knew exactly what was going to happen when I pulled this off the shelf, and I was expecting it to be like less enjoyable because of it, but the rest of the volume was so funny and so lighthearted that even though I was rolling my eyes at the cliche of like, oh, they're at the cultural festival and of course she has to be in a maid outfit because plot convenience, I did wind up enjoying the volume even though it had this maid outfit aspect, and of course Tadano gets roped into being in a maid outfit too, because would it be a manga series if that didn't happen? No, it wouldn't. Actually, it's like the law. Not really. But of course that happened, which I also saw coming, and I was just kind of rolling my eyes like, this is almost a cliche. I'm pretty sure I've seen this done like 17 other times, but whatever, it was there. If you like the cliche or you don't mind it, then you might enjoy it. But even if you're like me and kind of just rolling your eyes at like, we see this again, I still think you would enjoy this volume because it had so much else going on in it that it was really, really funny. So I enjoyed this a lot more than I thought it was. So I do think that if you see the cover and think this is definitely not for me, or this volume is not for me, one, I think you should give it a try, and two, I think that the enjoyment factor of everything else going on in the volume kind of overshadows the whole cliche maid outfit thing. Overall, it was super funny. I enjoyed this volume, and I look forward to reading more of this series, hopefully in print. I'm working on getting to get the print books. I'm going to the library today, so hopefully they have the print books in copy. But if you have any thoughts on this volume or would like to discuss, please let me know. I would love to hear it. Otherwise, thank you so much for watching, and I hope you have a great rest of your day.
Hello everyone, and welcome back to another book review. Today I am going to be reviewing Volume 6 in the Komi Can't Communicate series. This is what the cover looks like. I actually read this in the print version. I've been alternating between the print and the ebook version, just whichever version my library has available. And this seems to be a pretty popular series, so I am having some trouble finding the print version, so I was very happy that I got the actual paper version of Volume 6. So yeah, let's dive in. Volume 5 was the continuation, or the continuation. It was the cultural fest at the school that Komi goes to. So it was all about the cultural fest, in which the class that Komi belongs to decided to do a maid cafe because fan service, I guess. And of course she was in a maid outfit, and we had some cross-dressing from Tadano. But that is now done, and Volume 6 has the conclusion of the cultural festival, in which everyone is going to go sing karaoke. Now, at this point, I'm assuming you have some familiarity with the series, but if you don't, our main character is Komi. Komi is here. She is perceived as very cool and aloof and too good for everyone else in her class by her classmates, but she actually has a communication disorder. She finds it very difficult to talk with and associate with her classmates. So she isn't quiet because she thinks she's better than everyone. She's quiet and doesn't talk because she has trouble communicating. And Tadano has kind of stepped in as her friend and is helping her make a lot more friends and expand. However, these situations come up that Komi feels uncomfortable with, and one of those would of course be karaoke. So of course, after the cultural festival, they're going to go to karaoke because it's something that's going to make her stress. Well, they don't go because it makes her stress, but I feel like it's just conveniently a very good situation to put her in, or an interesting situation to put her in. So she has to navigate that. I like that Komi keeps getting into these situations that are kind of outside her comfort zone, but they are things that she wants to do. She's growing, she's stretching herself, and yeah, I find it really, really interesting. There are a couple other characters that are introduced, or I don't remember if one of them was introduced, but they are at least expanded upon in this volume that I think have a lot of potential for future volumes. The first one is Komi's dad. So Komi comes from a family in which there are three very quiet individuals similar to Komi, one of them being her brother and the other one being her father, and one incredibly outgoing individual, and that is her mother. Her mother is kind of the odd one out, very social, very outgoing, but Komi and her dad just get each other, they understand each other, and there's some sweet interactions in this volume of Komi and her dad. I believe they're going shopping, and yeah, I just think he's a very interesting man. I think that he's a good asset, and he kind of complements Komi perfectly in that, yeah, you see Komi interacting with a parent who kind of understands and gets where she's coming from, where Komi's mom maybe is a little less certain where she's coming from, but Komi's mom loves her and is there for her too. It's just interesting to see her dad and her interact. The second individual who is in Volume 6 who I see a lot of potential for is this boy named Katai. Katai joins the class, and he is rather large. So he looks very scary. Trying to find a good picture of him. He looks like a very intimidating boy, and he also is really, really quiet, and everyone thinks that's because he's scary. He's gonna beat people up, or he has a very intimidating aura about him. So people are kind of nervous about him, but that's similar to what happened with Komi, where everyone thought she was cooler than everyone and that she was just so much better than everyone because she wasn't talking, when really she was just shy and had this communication disorder. And Katai is kind of similar, and Katai actually looks up to Komi because he perceives Komi as being better than he is, even though they're kind of just the same people, not the same person, going through similar situations. So I think Katai has a lot of potential. It's interesting to see someone else in her class who has the same issue, and just the way that he's approaching the problem and the way that he's getting through the class. So I think Katai is going to be a very, very interesting character, and I'm excited to see where he goes in the rest of the volumes. So that is my review of Komi Can't Communicate Volume 6. I think it's just an interesting volume. It really introduced some more characters, and I think it's setting up for things in the future. I liked it, and I'm excited to continue the series. If you have any thoughts on Volume 6 of Komi Can't Communicate, I would love to hear it. Other than that, thank you so much for watching, and I hope you have a great rest of your day. Hello everyone, and welcome back to another book review. Today I'm going to be reviewing Volume 7 of Komi Can't Communicate. This is what the cover looks like. I read this in the ebook format because my library didn't have Volume 7 in the paper copy on the shelf. So this is the format that I read it in, just so that you are aware. This is what the cover looks like, and let's dive in. So as you can tell from the cover, this is a winter entry in the series. There's a lot of snow. I love snow. I live in the northern half of the United States, and I love winter. As long as it ends on schedule. I like winter up until probably about mid-March, so right about now. But snow's fun, snow's great. I love the way it looks outside. I like waking up in the morning to a bunch of snow, so I already knew I was going to like this. This takes place around Christmas time, and there's a couple things going on in this volume. The first is Christmas. Christmas party that is arranged by our ever favorite character, Najimi. Najimi kind of schemes and plans and gets everyone moving. Najimi's gender is kind of ambiguous. They don't really reveal it. Najimi doesn't like to just sit around and do nothing. They're busy scheming. They're busy doing whatever they would want everyone to do. And I think Najimi is starting to catch on to a couple things. And she decides to throw a Christmas party and gets everyone involved. And there's a competition for who can get Komi the best present. And it's just a fun time with friends. And this is kind of some of the stuff that's showing up on the cover. We have Najimi back here just being Najimi. We have Tadano and we have Komi. So things are going well. And that part is just fun. It's friends. It's doing their thing. And then there's a second big event in this volume that I think is starting to cause a bigger plot to gain steam. So Tadano winds up getting ill, he's getting sick, and no one's there to take care of him, and he's calling people because he wants food, and he's laid up in bed, and I believe he thought he called Najimi, but he accidentally called Komi, so Komi actually comes over and, like, pampers, babies him while he's, like, delirious with fever. And this kind of shows something that, I mean, most people have seen coming. If you've read this entire series, I think you will have seen it coming at this point, but it's these budding feelings that Komi's having for Tadano, and I am very interested in where this is going because I like it. Tadano is ill. Komi's coming over to baby him, kind of, but you can tell there's definitely some tension there, and it's interesting. I like where this plot is going. I like where the romance is going. They're both very shy and neither one of them seems willing to make a move, but that almost makes it sweeter and nicer. Tadano's one of the original friends, or the original friend, the one who reached out to Komi and started communicating with her and helped her reach out and make the friends that she's made to this day. So it's interesting to see where this goes. You can definitely tell, because as the reader we have both sides of the perspective, that they're both starting to have these budding feelings, and it's just a matter of knowing or wanting them to actually communicate to one another. But knowing the way this volume or the series has paced itself thus far, I think it's going to be a slow burn to the point where anyone's actually confessing anything. But in volume 7, I think the budding feelings are really coming to the surface, and I'm excited to see where that is going. There is a character who's starting to become a little more prevalent, I don't know what to say, in this series that I really like, and that is Tadano's sister. I'm trying to remember what her name is. But Tadano's younger sister, is very, very funny. She's very energetic. She's very outgoing. And I think she's a little wiser than maybe Tadano realizes. She is suspicious that something's up with Tadano. She doesn't really know what. She's not able to piece it all together. But she thinks that there's something going on. She definitely came back after Tadano was laid up in bed and was like, I smell a girl. There was a girl here, and she's not sure what's going on, but I think she's gonna figure it out. I like Tadano's younger sister a lot. Not my sisters, so I do have multiple sisters, but one of my sisters who's reading this series said that she actually hates Tadano's younger sister, but my other sister said that she likes Tadano's younger sister. So I am interested to see how I feel about her, but I think I'm gonna like her. I'm already on the fence of really liking her, and I'm excited to see where this goes. So yeah, that's my review of volume 7. I really liked this volume, and I'm excited to see where the series goes. If you've read this volume or have any thoughts on it, I would love to hear it. Other than that, thank you so much for watching, and I hope you have a great rest of your day. Hello everyone, and welcome back to another book review. Today I'm going to be reviewing volume 8 of the manga series Komi Can't Communicate. This is what the front of the book looks like. I read this in the ebook format. My library didn't have volume 8 in the physical format on the shelf, so I did the ebook version. I do prefer to read most books in print version. I just like the sensation of holding a physical book, but I didn't have the option, and I was loving the series. I was devouring it, and I wanted volume 8 immediately, and I'd rather read the ebook version than wait any longer. So here we are with volume 8. So let's dive in on my thoughts. So Komi Can't Communicate, if you're not familiar with the story to this point, features on our main character, Komi, who is a girl with a communication disorder. She's very, very shy and has trouble talking to people, and she has befriended a boy in high school named Tadano, who is this boy over here, who is helping her reach out and make new friends. But as we're on volume 8, Komi has definitely grown as a character, and she's starting to make friends on her own a little bit. She definitely struggles. She definitely still has the communication disorder, but she's able to start branching out and, yeah, making friends for herself. Tadano is there. He's around. He's one of the original founding members of her little group. Her, Tadano, Komi, Tadano, and Najimi, a third character who is just around and always having fun. And Komi's growing her circle of friends, so all is going well. This is a fun, light, easy manga series. It is super fun to read, super easy to read. It's lighthearted, it's not too serious. I am also reading the series Haikyuu right now, which is a sports manga, which can be really, really intense. And I feel like I need to be spiritually prepared before I go into reading a Haikyuu volume. Komi, I do not feel like I need to do any special mental prep work to go into reading the series. I can just sit down with a nice hot cup of tea and I can just read it and enjoy it. I actually read volume 8 while I was on vacation. I could just go back to my hotel room at the end of the day and just pop open a new volume of Komi, read through it, and it was exactly what I needed in life. Not everything you read has to be deep, emotional, spiritually life-changing, and it can still be good. So I am loving Komi, and volume 8 is just, yeah, exactly what I was looking for. It hits the spot. Volume 8 focuses on a class trip to Kyoto. If you can't tell from the cover, they're in Kyoto. I guess you couldn't tell they're in Kyoto, but you might think they're doing something special by the way they're dressed. And yeah, we're on a class trip. Class trip seems to be a standard thing that happens in any manga series that takes place in high school. They're going to go on the class trip and it's going to be featured as a entry into the manga series. That's just a universal law. And the class trip to Kyoto, nothing very wild, strange, or crazy happens. Komi is placed in a group with two girls that she doesn't know, but the two girls have kind of promised amongst themselves to give Komi the best trip possible. They're aware that she wants to make friends, so they're there, they're reaching out, they're helping her, and they've decided to make it the best go, give her the best opportunity to have this trip that she can have. So Komi is reaching out, making new friends on this trip, but the real driver in this series is the characters. It is the characters who drive this series forward. There's not some external plot like a threat or a bad guy or an evil plot to take over the world, or there's no plot like that in this series. This is definitely just characters and the relationship between characters, which is part of what makes it sweet, light, easy, fun to read. But also means that even though there's this external thing, the class trip, it's really just a mechanism for us to learn more about the characters, and the characters are deepening and growing. Komi's expanding her circle of friends, and we're getting to know more about the characters that already exist. That's the primary focus of volume 8, is just building the what we know about the other characters already. We get to see that Tadano definitely has a crush on Komi. I mean, if you haven't guessed it by volume 8, I feel like it was pretty obvious that there was at least some budding feelings. I think that maybe the feelings weren't always there initially, but they definitely have come on, and Tadano is crushing hard on Komi. Komi definitely has feelings back, but of course they're awkward teens. They're not really talking to one another about it. You know how it was when having a crush was like the most embarrassing thing in the world. So they're not talking about it, and I think it's just interesting to see where this goes, because I feel like everything that I thought in volume 7 about the budding feelings has come to, not fruition, but we definitely see it more clearly in volume 8. We also see a lot more of Katai. Katai is a character that was introduced in a previous volume. I believe he was introduced in volume 6, if I remember correctly. He's kind of like Komi in that he has a communication disorder. He's a really big guy though, so he's read as being very scary. Komi, when she wasn't communicating, was being read more as aloof and like a queen, a goddess. Everyone else was beneath her. Katai, I feel like, is read as very scary and powerful because he's a big guy, but he also is very quiet. And Katai is just like Komi. He views Komi as almost a master of sorts, a master of communication. Katai just wants to make friends too, and we get to see more of Katai on the class trip. Again, like I said, it's just building the relationships with these characters, or building what we know about these characters as the characters build relationships with each other on this class trip. I really liked volume 8. I'm excited to see where the series is going, and yeah, I want to know what happens next. So I would recommend volume 8 if you are reading the Komi Can't Communicate series and you like the series, then you're definitely gonna like volume 8. If you've read this volume and have any thoughts on it, I would love to hear it. Other than that, thank you so much for watching, and I hope you have a great rest of your day. Hello everyone, and welcome back to another book review. Today I am going to be reviewing volume 9 in the series Komi Can't Communicate. I read this in the ebook version, so just so you know which format I read it in this on my tablet. And yeah, let's dive into my thoughts. So I'm going to assume you have some familiarity with Komi if you're watching the review of volume 9. If you don't, you can go back and watch my reviews of volumes 1 through 8. But thus far, we have been following the adventures of Komi, who is a teenage girl in high school with a communication disorder. She's the girl on the cover in this batting cage. She is shy, she has trouble communicating, talking, and as a result, her classmates have kind of viewed her as aloof and better than them. However, Tadano, who is one of our main characters, and very quickly someone Tadano was friends with in middle school, Najimi, who are these two characters here, realize that Komi just wants to make friends and she has trouble talking, so they're on a mission to help her gain 100 friends. Komi has been at this now for 9 volumes, and there's a little bit more than friendship going on between Tadano and Komi. The feelings are starting to blossom. I feel like the feelings have been slowly simmering there. Maybe not right from the beginning, but they've been around for a while, at least a little bit, and I feel like Najimi kind of knows something's up. Not entirely. I feel like this is definitely going to be exposed a little bit more later, but Najimi isn't entirely stupid. Tadano and Komi, though, are now facing a very awkward time for young teenage couples in love, I guess, and that is Valentine's Day / White Day, where chocolates are to be exchanged with people that you are interested in, and friends. So now it's this complicated thing because Komi and Tadano are definitely friends, but there is a level of feeling that both of them have towards one another that they haven't really discussed or talked about. So then it's a, what do I get them? It would be rude to not get them something for both of them. It would be rude for Tadano and Komi to not exchange anything because they are friends, but at the same time, they want to exchange the correct thing because they don't want to kind of tip their hand that they have feelings for the other without, it's this complicated thing that I guess it makes sense. Like when you were 15, you probably didn't want everyone to know who you had a crush on. That was embarrassing. Or you also have a natural fear of rejection. I mean, that continues into adulthood where you don't want to ruin a friendship with someone because you might have developed feelings and they might not feel the same. You don't want that friendship to be lost if the feelings aren't reciprocated. So it is kind of an awkward situation, and I do get where they're coming from, but it does make a very interesting entry in the volume. Volume 9 is primarily focused around the Komi-Tadano relationship and whether or not they're going to, or how they're going to address this time in the season, and I loved it. I feel like characters are really driving the series forward, and I love the characters. I especially love Najimi. I feel like Komi, Tadano are kind of the two stars of the show. They're the two main characters, particularly Komi. Tadano's a great side character, the main side character, the main second character. But Najimi, who's kind of the prime, she, they keep their gender ambiguous. Najimi's one of my favorite characters. I really like them. They are definitely add some interest to the series, and Komi has at this point developed or gathered a retinue of friends that she hangs out with, that she is also hanging out with and experiencing life with. But the focus of Volume 9, well, this whole series has been character driven. Volume 9 is definitely about Komi and Tadano, and I am loving it. They muddle their way through their Valentine's Day white chocolate. I will let you read Volume 9 if you haven't already to see exactly how that plays out, but I liked this awkward scenario that these two people find themselves in, and I enjoyed reading about it, and I'm excited for Volume 10. I would recommend Volume 9. I think if you have been reading this series and loving it, you'll like Volume 9. If you like some of the romantic tension between characters, you're definitely going to love Volume 9. I find myself in a weird position where when reading, for lack of a better word, I don't have one handy, regular books, like print books, I feel like my tolerance for romance is a lot low, and I really have to be invested in the character to like the romance. In manga, I'm all in. I want the romance. I'm eating it up. I don't know why I am this way, but I'm here for it, and I want Tadano and Komi to be happy. But due to the pacing of this book, I feel like that's going to happen at volume like 25. So we have a ways to go, which is fine though, because I kind of like the slow burn romance, and I kind of like these situations that the characters are finding themselves in. If you've read Volume 9 or have any thoughts on the series, I'd love to hear it. Other than that, thank you so much for watching, and I hope you have a great rest of your day. Hello everyone, and welcome back to another book review. Today I'm going to be reviewing Volume 10 in the Komi Can't Communicate series by Tomohito Oda. So this is what the cover of Volume 10 looks like, and the cover reveals the main focus and the main characters of Volume 10. So if you're watching this review of Volume 10, I'm going to assume that you already have a passing familiarity with Komi. If you don't, you can go back and watch my reviews of Volume 1 through 9, but I'm going to assume that you know some stuff that's been going on in Volumes 1 through 9. So hopefully you aren't spoiled, or I don't spoil anything for you. In
Volume 10, we've been following Komi, her quest to make friends, and her budding feelings with Tadano, her first and original friend in high school, and it's been very interesting. And Komi is expanding her friendship, she's getting more friends, she's expanding her circle, and she makes a new friend with a girl named Manbagi. I hope I'm saying her name correctly. And Manbagi is this girl right here. She is a girl in... So Komi has advanced to second year. That's kind of something I should note. So Manbagi is a girl in her new class who she is getting to know and hanging out with, and Komi connects with her and they become friends, and they're going to hang out and they're going to do sleepovers and they're going to have fun times. They're just going to do girl stuff and it's fun. Tadano is also in Komi's second year class. Not everyone's in her second year class, so it isn't the same class. Tadano is there, but Tadano now sits behind her. So Komi and Manbagi are sitting next to each other and they're developing this friendship. This volume kind of steps away a little bit from Komi and Tadano hanging out. I feel like they haven't hung out as much now that she's advanced to year 2, and she's starting to reach out and hang out with Manbagi on her own. She's relying a little bit less on Tadano to do some of this friendship work for her, which is good. Komi is progressing. Komi is gradually growing a little bit in herself and her confidence, and it's really good to see this happen. However, Manbagi is... So something we have to know about Manbagi that we see, so I'm going all over with everything I want to say here. She has some self-confidence issues, which who doesn't? I mean, who doesn't have some self-confidence issues in high school? I feel like that's very common. So something that I like is that all these characters who maybe from the outside seem really confident and really put together have their own internal flaws, their own things that they worry about, things they're insecure about, things they're self-conscious about. And so even this girl who is all done up and dressed very nicely and she wears quite a bit of makeup, and that is like a plot point in the book, so I'm not just calling that out for no reason. She has her own fears and her own things that she's working on. Her friends, she also advanced from year 1 to year 2, obviously, and her friends are put in a different class as well, so she worries that she's not going to be able to make any new friends either, and it's a worry, it's a stress for someone. So I do like this idea that when you get to know the other characters, you find that there's like a little bit more depth there. I feel like with the number of new characters being introduced, it would be easy for the author to just kind of create really shallow, easy characters, but I think Manbagi is a little bit more complex than just, hey, new friend, ta-da, they're having sleepovers and doing girl things. She has her own fears, her own insecurities, and she is going through the high school experience just like everyone else. Tadano's in class with Manbagi, and Tadano is just a nice guy. Tadano wants to keep his head down and be normal after his embarrassing, very normal, but in his mind, embarrassing middle school years where he was going through a phase. So he wants to keep his head down and be normal. He's very nice, he's very polite, and he is being nice and polite with Manbagi in class. But I don't know if my nose is little. My nose, my senses, my experience having read several thousand books in my life smells a problem brewing with Manbagi and Komi and Tadano. And we're gonna see how this plays out. I don't think Manbagi means anything by it. I don't think anything's happened yet. It is just a little scratching at the back of my brain that says, we have Manbagi, we have Komi, we have Tadano. And 3 points make what shape? So we're gonna see how this plays out. I like that Manbagi has also introduced Komi. I really hope I'm saying her name right because I'm saying it a lot. Manbagi introduces Komi to her friends and they all go out bowling, and her friends also confess when Manbagi excuses herself to use the restroom that they're glad that Manbagi is reaching out and making new friends. So Komi is kind of taking on that role of being a friend to someone else that Tadano once did to her, although Komi is friends to all her friends as well. But this is kind of the first time where that scenario has been reversed, and the friends of Manbagi are glad that she's reached out and she's made that friend, when normally it's Komi who's the one who has to stretch herself to make the friend. So I am loving this series. I like the character-driven aspect of the series. I think Manbagi is going to make a very interesting new separate plot line to spice up our simmering, bubbling, slow burn of a romance that's going on, and I'm excited to see where this series goes. If you've read volume 10 or have any thoughts on it, I would love to hear it. Other than that, thank you so much for watching this review, and I hope you have a great rest of your day. Hello everyone and welcome back to another book review. Today I'm going to be reviewing volume 11 in the Komi Can't Communicate series. This is what the cover looks like. I read this in the ebook format that my library had. The first thing I want to note, just while we're looking at the cover, is this is my favorite cover of the series so far. The covers have been good on the series. I don't think the covers have been bad, but this one I just feel like is next level, and that alone tells you everything you need to know about my thoughts on volume 11, and that is the next level. Volume 11 took this series from this is good, this is a fun, light, easy vacation read, I'm having a great time reading it, to oh, this is good, and I am enjoying it. I don't really know why I felt like this volume, well, I have some thoughts on why this volume was the next level, but I just feel like the author took it up a level in volume 11 and I am here for it and I'm excited for it. So let's talk about some of the stuff that happened in this wonderful, wonderful volume. So in this volume, Komi's family is going on a trip, Tadano's family is going on a trip with Najimi, because would it really be a trip if it wasn't our favorite character of all time, Najimi, involved? And they run into each other because they both took a trip to the same place. Plot convenience. I feel like there's a lot of plot convenience in volume 11, but because I like the way it went, I'm going to excuse it and look over it. So there's some plot convenience going on. They wind up in the same spot, and Komi's mother is very, very social, and Tadano's parents are just shocked that he's friends with such a pretty girl, I guess, and Najimi's just excited because their friends are there, so they're gonna hang out for a little bit. And the big focus on volume 11 is romance. Volume 10 had a heavy friendship aspect with Komi hanging out with Manbagi, but volume 11 focuses mainly on romance, or maybe not entirely. There's a strong romance focus on this trip because it is Tadano, it is Komi, and Najimi's there, but Najimi at this point has kind of figured some stuff out and knows exactly what is going on. We also have some other characters, Komi's brother, who's another quiet, shy individual, and Tadano's sister, who's very, very outgoing and is trying to get Komi's brother to communicate with her. I like Tadano's sister and Komi's brother. I think they kind of make like a interesting younger comparison of Tadano and Komi, sort of, kind of, or more like Najimi, I feel like Komi or Tadano's sister is almost like a Najimi character, kind of, but I do think they're an interesting little subplot thing that's going on. This volume involves a lot of, oh no, we wound up in a cabin alone together. How could this have happened? Plot convenience, okay. But I'm there for it, and the romance is continuing hard, and it's very clear at this point that both of the people have feelings for each other. Tadano has feelings for Komi, Komi has feelings for Tadano, except our little thing that would just be romance between point A and point B now has a third point, and we have developed a triangle, sort of. I don't know if it's really a triangle. It's more like Tadano has another person who is admiring him, and I'm not sure if he realizes or knows what's going on. Manbagi is this girl that Komi befriended in volume 10, and I think that so Tadano has been being nice to her, and Manbagi is starting to develop feelings as well, and it's not even like Manbagi is being very malicious in all this, but I do think it's going to cause some interesting things down the road. However, I do get the sense that Komi's more of a slow burn sort of book, or series, so I think it's gonna take a while for us to see the fallout from this, but I am noticing what's going on. We've had this building of the romance in this volume, and I think it's going to be interesting to see how this continues to unfold, especially with the Manbagi subplot and the fact that Manbagi is now Komi's friend. I think that's going to make an interesting dilemma that's going to come up if this romance continues, which I think it's going to be. Like I said, volume 11, in my opinion, took it to the next level. This was a 5-star read and I'm loving it. When I finished volume 11, I immediately got volume 12, and I'm excited to continue to read this series because it's just good and I feel like it's to the next level. I feel like sometimes manga take a while to establish their characters, and if the plot's going to be a plot, well, I feel like with plot-based manga, you can get the plot rolling a lot sooner. When you're dealing with a series like Komi Can't Communicate, or any series that's really character-driven, where the characters are the ones who are developing, as opposed to like there's an outside external plot that's moving things along, when it's just characters talking to one another, I feel like
the reader first needs to start resonating with the characters and their individual characteristics and personalities before the reader really gets into the series, at least to the next level. So while the rest of Komi, volumes 1 through 10, was really good and I was really enjoying it, I feel like now that I'm resonating with the characters, it's just kind of bringing it up to the next level and I am enjoying it. If you have any thoughts on volume 11, I would love to hear it. Other than that, thank you so much for watching and I hope you have a great rest of your day. Hello everyone and welcome back to another book review. Today I'm going to be reviewing volume 12 in the Komi Can't Communicate series by Tomohito Oda. This is a series that I've been reading and enjoying and having a great time with, and I feel like the series is starting to find its legs and really resonate with me, so I'm excited to review volume 12. Volume 12 focuses on the fact that exams are now done, or they are finished up in this volume, and we are now on to summer vacation. And Komi has things that she wants out of summer vacation. Komi is trying to put her best self forward and live the best high school experience that she can, and to do that, she wants to have a good summer vacation. So she starts working on a list with everything that she wants to do, and she has input from her friends on this. So this is almost the first summer vacation where Komi has a really good group of friends. She has people that she knows. She has characters like friends that she's interacting with and that she can make plans with. And she's able to start being really open and honest about things that she wants to do with her summer. Also, from a reader's perspective, we now have characters that we've seen before, that we know, that we're interested in, and that are starting to resonate with us. So it's very, very interesting to be in these situations with characters that we now have 10 plus volumes of experience getting to know, for some of them, especially the ones that have been there since the beginning, like Tadano and Najimi. So by having that much time with these characters, now putting the characters in these situations is really rewarding and interesting because we're not just getting to know the characters, it's almost like the characters are now driving the story forward. Of course, there are feelings with one another, but the big focus on volume 12 is friendship, and I really like that because I feel like the author is doing a balancing act between Komi and Tadano's feelings for one another and Komi's friendship with everyone else in her friend group that she is developing. I think the balance could be difficult to maintain. I don't really mind if it tips one way or the other. I have a personal feeling it's going to tip a little bit more heavily towards romance, especially maybe later in the teens. Just a feeling I have. I feel like the feelings are a slow burn in this manga series, so I think it's going to take a while, but once it's there, there's going to be a lot of screen time on the romance. So I do like that we're getting a lot of these friendship scenes and we're not just narrowing our vision and getting tunnel vision and narrowing our focus to just what Komi and Tadano are doing. There's moments, there's scenes with each other, but primarily it is the friendship in volume 12 that is driving the plot forward. There's a beach day, which is fun, of course. You get your fan service with everyone in their bathing suits, if that's what you're here for. But I just liked the friendship and the communication with everyone and the fun times and getting to know some of these characters a little bit better. There is another character who is introduced at the end of volume 12. It is a young girl that is going to be staying with Komi's family for a little bit while her parents are traveling internationally for business. Her name is Rei Natsukido, and I hope I'm saying her name correctly. Rei seems to want to be friends with everyone, but she pushes everyone away. And I am interested to see where this goes. Rei is a lot younger. She's a little girl compared to Komi, and Komi is trying to be nice and friendly to this girl who's staying in her house. And I think this is going to be interesting to see where it goes and see how Komi breaks out of her shell and has to be the one who interacts with and helps this girl feel at home while she's staying in her house. If you've read volume 12 or have any thoughts on it, I'd love to hear it. Other than that, thank you so much for watching, and I hope you have a great rest of your day. Hello everyone, and welcome back to another book review. Today I am going to be reviewing volume 13 in the Komi Can't Communicate series. I read this in the ebook format, so this is just the cover of the ebook, and the cover features some of our characters. I believe this is Komi's mom. This is a character, Rei Natsukido, who we met in volume 12, and of course Komi, who has been on every cover of Komi Can't Communicate, at least I believe she has been since the beginning. So there's kind of two big things that I want to talk about in volume 13. Obviously, the first half, or a big chunk of this book, is going to focus on Rei, who is this young girl here. So up until this point in the series, Komi has kind of been the one who has had to be breaking out of her shell. She's the one who's having to discover new things about herself. She's the one who's having to put herself out there. She's the one who's having to learn lessons almost from other people about how to be friendly and how to make friends. She has a communication disorder, so this makes sense. Tadano's been helping her from the beginning. So Rei kind of turns this on its head. So Rei here, as you can see, is much younger than Komi. She's a little girl, and her parents travel extensively for work. So she gets relocated a lot, and she's had to leave a lot of schools, leave a lot of friends, and that makes an impact on a child. At least I assume it does. I did not actually move at all growing up. My parents still own the same house that they've always had, so I didn't experience a lot of that moving around, but I have to imagine it's very jarring, especially at a young age, to move around a lot and to leave a friend group over and over and over. So Komi takes it upon herself to kind of show Rei that it's okay to open up and make friends. In fact, it's an advantage to have friends in a wide variety of places. Rei is going to be moving to the United States because that's the next spot that her parents have been stationed. So Komi is now the one who's giving the lessons on friendship to someone else. Albeit it is someone who's younger, so it does make sense that Komi would be in a position to impart knowledge on someone, but I do think it's a nice twist, and it kind of shows that Komi has grown to the point where she's able to take these lessons on friendship and pass it on to someone younger than her, which I like. I also like that we've kind of taken a step back of the trauma and drama that is high school, and we're focusing on someone a little younger now. So now Rei's here, it's cute, it's sweet, Komi's imparting her wisdom on this younger girl. We love it, it's there. And it's just nice to kind of take a break. This is a continuation of volume 12 where Rei was introduced and the storyline was introduced. And while we have been seeing Tadano and Najimi and other friends and characters in Komi's group, we really are starting to, or we really have taken a break, at least a little bit of a break away from the trauma and drama, which makes me think that everything's going to be hitting hard when we come back into it, which was true for the second half of this volume. So Rei's there, Rei has her... Rei receives wisdom from Komi, and we have this sweet little conclusion of this plot, including her. I hope we see her again. We do. I think it's the end of this volume. We see a little snippet of her life in the United States where she's going to start making friends because she sees the advantage of having friends in a wide variety of places. But I did like that we have this break. We have something that's a little away from the normal friend group because the friend group is getting a little complicated. So up to this point, Komi has just been making friends. There's been misunderstandings, miscommunications, there's been tempers, there have been competitions, there's been people who are upset with each other, but so far there hasn't been too much drama, I would say. Nothing too wild, too crazy. You may disagree, but things have been moving along. I think that around volume 11, the series kind of took it up a notch, and that's because, at least in my opinion, as a reader, I now know these characters. These are characters I'm familiar with, I'm comfortable with. They have been fleshed out enough to the point where they can now drive a story, and I really appreciate it and I really like it. I think volume 11 just brought it to the next level, especially our core group, the core friends that we've been seeing for a while. We now have a strong foundation with, so the author can drive a story with it. That being said, in volume, I think it was 10, we were introduced to a character, Manbagi, who became close friends with Komi. They're doing girl things together, sleepovers, talking about crushes, just having a fun time together, doing makeup together, and all the fun girl things that you would ever think of doing in a stereotypical girl sleepover in a manga series. They're having a great time, they're good friends, but slowly but surely our little relationship, or not even relationship, our budding feelings, the budding feelings that we see between Tadano and Komi have a new partner, and that is Manbagi, because she is slowly but surely developing feelings for Tadano. At least that's what my little sixth sense is saying. My little nose, which sniffs out love triangles, I feel like is seeing this one coming, and I'm thinking we might start to get a little bit more serious. I think the Rei interlude has kind of broken it up in that we get a cute little moment where we see Komi's growth, because there's going to be a new challenge, I think, in this friend group, because I'm not entirely sure all the parties in the love triangle know what's going on. I don't think Tadano's aware, first of all, that maybe I don't know if Tadano is fully aware that his feelings to Komi are entirely reciprocated. I mean, I think he's just kind of nervous and inexperienced. I think that Komi doesn't know how she really feels about Tadano, but also isn't confident enough to express her feelings. And I don't think Manbagi really understands that there's something going on between them, because she seems kind of oblivious to that fact and isn't really sure. I don't know if Manbagi even knows that she has feelings. I think they're starting to develop. So I think everyone, all the three characters in the love triangle, if I could call it that,
are kind of in the dark about both their own feelings and everyone else's feelings for each other. But I think this is going to start to come to light in future volumes, and I'm excited to see where this goes. I'm loving this series. I loved volume 13. I thought this was a great entry in the series, and I think if you have been liking the series, you're going to like volume 13. I think things have just gone up to the next level, and I'm really excited to see where the series goes. If you have any thoughts on volume 13 or have anything else you would like to share about this, please let me know in the comments. Otherwise, thank you so much for watching, and I hope you have a great rest of your day. Hello everyone, and welcome back to another book review. Today I am going to be reviewing volume 14 in Komi Can't Communicate, this manga series that I have been reading by Tomohito Oda, and I read this in the ebook format, so this is the cover of the ebook that I read because this was what my library had. So let's dive into my thoughts on volume 14, because I have thoughts on volume 14, and I'm a little annoyed because all of the next books in the series are currently checked out of my library, so I am going to have to wait patiently to continue this series, and boy have things changed. Volume 14 sets up the trauma and drama for the next couple volumes, at least that's the way I'm predicting this to go. Because admittedly, not a whole lot happens in this volume in the terms of plot or in terms of character interaction. There is some, but I think people's feelings have solidified, and we are now setting up to see where these feelings go. Volume 14, at this point we have a lot of characters that we know, and we're starting to see them do things outside of their social circles with each other. We're starting to see them visit families. We have them fleshed out. They have their own lives, their own stories, their own hobbies, and there is some together time. We're still in summer vacation. Tadano and Komi ride bikes together, which of course winds up in compromised positions. But so far, things are just sweet. Characters are interacting with each other, their families, their friends, their hobbies, their things that they want to get done on their summer break. And it's just fun. It feels sweet, but it kind of feels like there's something hanging over your head. Like something's going to drop, because we've had this buildup regarding 3 particular characters. Our usual suspect, Komi, our sweet, lovable main protagonist, Tadano, Komi's first friend, and our wonderful new addition, Manbagi. Manbagi was the friend that Komi made around volume 10, who it has been nothing but a sweet, wonderful friend to Komi. They do all the stereotypical girl things together, and Manbagi is really genuinely a likable character. She is someone who seems human. She comes across as very confident when you initially meet her, but then you quickly learn that she has an internal dialogue that is not very confident, which is very believable for a teenage girl who isn't going to be 100% confident in everything that she does. I feel like that's unrealistic. She's unique. She has a very sparkly personality. She has her own friend group, but she has insecurities because her friends from her first year got assigned to a different class for second year. She's just all around a likable character, and she was very quickly fleshed out, which made me feel very suspicious from the start that something was going to happen. I kind of thought maybe initially it was just going to be Komi's close friend, but things went in a different direction. Manbagi is in class and sits next to Komi, and Tadano sits behind Komi now in the second year classroom. And Tadano, being a nice, friendly, helpful individual, is nice to Manbagi. Except Manbagi is getting a crush on Tadano. So up to this point, no one has really talked about their feelings to each other, because why would they? They're like 15, 16. They're not going to talk about their feelings to one another. They're going to keep it all close to their chest and not tell anybody to make the drama even worse. So Komi has feelings for Tadano. I don't really know if she's fully admitted to that to herself. Tadano has definitely has feelings for Komi. Manbagi has now developed feelings for Tadano, and as suspected, we now have 3 points, and what do 3 points make? A triangle. So here we are. We are in the love triangle, and things have been set up because there is a summer fest in this volume, and I believe that's what's depicted on the cover. There's a lot of friends there. Komi, Tadano, Manbagi, a lot of people basically get dragged into helping with this noodle tent that Agari, who is one of Komi's friends, aunt, so Agari's aunt, I believe it is, has this noodle tent that a bunch of people get roped into helping serve. And also everyone else has come to the area to participate in the summer fest. So there's a lot of friends, there's a lot of talking, and
People are rotating in and out of helping at this food tent, and at a certain point closer to the end of the evening, Tadano and Manbagi wind up Now, Tadano and Manbagi, not Komi. Tadano and Manbagi wind up going, I really hope I'm saying her name correctly. I haven't looked up how to say her name. Tadano and Manbagi wind up seeing the fireworks together, going around the festival together, spending some time together, just doing sweet little things together. Now, in a previous volume, Najimi, who has kind of suspected that Komi and Tadano have feelings for one another, has kind of engineered scenarios in which they are close to one another, in which they are holding hands, in which Tadano thinks that he might be kissing Komi. He was not. He was kissing a sponge. But overall, Najimi knows what's up. Najimi is one of our original characters, and Najimi knows what's up, and Najimi's gender is intentionally ambiguous. It is orchestrated by Najimi, just part of their charm. But Najimi is trying to, maneuver things into place, kind of, I think. I think they just like the intrigue and the fact that there's feelings, and just finds this whole thing entertaining and another thing to keep track of. So Najimi, I would not say is helpful, but they're not harmful. They're just kind of chaotic, doing their thing chaotically and interfering when they think it's interesting or funny. So Najimi has kind of suspected that things are going on, and now in this one, things have happened, and the couple that you think were going to wind up together, maybe you thought Tadano and Komi were going to wander around and see the fireworks together at the Summerfest. No, it's going to be Tadano and Manbagi. And at the end of this volume, the friend group, the groups of people, have split into 3 different groups, 3 camps, to assess what happened, because kind of what happened at Summerfest was notable. I call it Summerfest, the summer festival, because it kind of looked like things were going in the direction that you thought it was going to go in. The 3 camps that are discussing at the end of volume, I almost said 3. Volume 14 are Manbagi and her friends. We have Komi with some other friends. So Manbagi is Komi's friend, but Manbagi is with her own group of friends, discussing whether or not she has a crush on Tadano, and she's kind of confessing and realizing that she has a crush on Tadano. And it's very sweet, and you see them getting excited. Their friend has a crush, and you can tell that Manbagi isn't maliciously trying to cut Komi out of the picture. Manbagi just genuinely has fallen for Tadano. He's a nice guy, he's super funny, and you see why. And also up to this point, we have been cheering for Manbagi in every other way in her personal life. We want to see her succeed. So the reader feels excited and happy for Manbagi, and you kind of want her to succeed. But then you have Komi and her group of friends. A couple of Komi's friends kind of corner Komi and say, hey, did you see what happened at Summerfest? Tadano went off with Manbagi, and Komi's kind of just like, I'm glad they're getting along. She's kind of deflecting, but the 2 friends almost know, they do know in their gut, like Komi has feelings for Tadano, so they're kind of trying to, I don't know, just broach the topic if Komi has anything she wants to say about it, and bring it to their attention that Manbagi, while not malicious, is kind of making a move on Tadano. And if Komi wants to keep Tadano, I don't like that phrasing because you can't really keep somebody, but just kind of give Komi a platform to voice her opinions on it. And the third party, while Komi and her friends are discussing, and Manbagi and her friends are discussing, is Tadano and Tadano's little sister. Tadano's little sister, it's a sister thing. I have sisters. I feel like sister senses just go off, and you're like, there's feelings there, aren't there? Sure enough, Tadano's sister is trying to be diplomatic and step around the topic and not use people's names by using things like first party, like second party, but third party, like second party. What if third party? But I feel like Tadano kind of understands who the parties are, and Tadano admits that he has feelings for Komi, but isn't refusing Manbagi. Usually I find in a book when there's a love triangle, I'm usually cheering for a certain pairing. I feel like the author usually angles for you to cheer for a certain pairing. You know who you want to be cheering for. You can kind of see who's going to be coming, and one of the people in the love triangle, maybe you dislike a little bit. Maybe they're a little rude. Maybe they're the girl who's kind of mean. Maybe they're the guy who is just a little too perfect and you're cheering for the underdog. There's there's someone you're cheering for usually in a love triangle that I find, and it's one of the reasons why I sometimes don't like the trope when it's done, because I feel like you know who the pairing is going to be, and this is just an unnecessary stumbling block. This I feel like is well done because I don't want anyone to lose, but I feel like someone's going to have to lose unless someone else develops feelings for someone else. There has to be a fourth person to come in, because this time I want everyone to be happy. I want Manbagi to be happy, I want Komi to be happy, and I want Tadano to be happy, and I don't know how that's going to occur with everything as it is right now. Everyone, I feel like, is in this innocent state of bliss where they don't realize the situation they have just put themselves in, and I desperately want them all to be happy, and I do not know if they're going to be. That being said, if Tadano breaks Komi's heart, God help us all, because I will not be happy. I'm just gonna say that. So that's volume 14, and I'm very upset that volume 15, 16 continuation is out of the library right now, because I want to know where this goes. But this is kind of a leveling off point. This is where the stage is set, and I'm excited to see where the author takes the rest of the series. If you have any thoughts on volume 14, please let me know in the comments below. Otherwise, thank you so much for watching this video, and I hope you have a great rest of your day. Hello everyone, and welcome back to another book review. Today I am going to be reviewing volume 15 in Komi Can't Communicate by Tomohito Oda. I read this in the ebook format, so just so you're aware which format I read this in, and that's why I'm going to be holding this up. But this is the front of the volume, and this is what it looks like. So let's dive in. So I have been loving Komi Can't Communicate. I think it's a great series, and up to this point we've had a little bit of drama develop. So our main character is Komi, this girl with dark hair in the back who has a communication disorder. She has trouble communicating with people, but she's on a mission to make 100 friends, and the core of her friendship involves this boy here, Tadano, and this person whose hair is barely visible, which is Najimi, who's kind of Tadano's sidekick, but also a key member of their group, and they are helping Komi reach out and branch out. Now, as this is volume 15, Komi has branched out and has made a large number of friends. She still has trouble talking, but she communicates by writing in a notebook, and she's just come across as a lovable character who just wants to connect with people and have a great time and enjoy her high school experience the best that she can. So we are all in love with Komi at this point. At least I assume most people are. I love Komi at this point, but I really love the fact that we've had a little bit of drama introduced. And I like the way that this drama has unfolded. Now go watch my review of Komi volume 14 if you have not or are not familiar with what's happened in volume 14, because we have had a little bit of a situation develop. And that is another character who is introduced, whose name is Manbagi. She's right here, who's standing next to Tadano, has developed feelings for Tadano. Now, for those of you who have been reading this series or watching my reviews, Komi has also developed feelings for Tadano. So what do we have? A love triangle. But I like the way that Tomohito Oda has done this love triangle, in that the character who's the third person, which is Manbagi, who's completed this love triangle, is also a likable character. She has her own flaws, she has her own experiences, she has her own insecurities, and she's just another teenage girl that we've come to like, who also has feelings for Tadano, which is normal and natural. Tadano is a very considerate boy, he's a very sweet boy, he just wants everyone to be happy, and Tadano's goal is to just be ordinary. He doesn't want to stand out or be embarrassed due to some middle school incidences, but he is standing out as being just a very good guy, and women are gravitating, or girls, I guess they're in high school, girls are gravitating towards him and they like it. And in this development of the love triangle, Manbagi, we, the readers, I feel like don't want the third party, Manbagi, to be hurt, because we also like her. Now, all of this has been set up, and I feel like the series really kicked it up to another notch in volume 11. So 11 through 14 has just been stellar, excellent, setting things up, setting the groundwork up for where this kind of drama relationship is going to go. Apologies if you hear yelling, my downstairs neighbors are moving, so it's a little bit noisy downstairs. Volume 15 now kind of steps back from the action, which I do like. I like it when you're reading a manga series and the author recognizes that you can't just have a hard-hitting emotional volume after volume after volume after volume, or you're going to be completely burned out. Another series that I think does this particularly well is the Haikyuu series. After a particularly tense or emotionally raw couple volumes, the author tends to write a volume that's a little more lighthearted, laid back, relaxed, maybe like a training camp. That one's a sports manga, so you can insert some levity into the situation that kind of makes things a little lighter and also gives the reader time to breathe. I feel like volume 15 did that for Komi Can't Communicate, because
The primary person that we learn about in this volume is Isagi, who's this girl we only see the back of her here, who also kind of has problems relating to people. She tends to push people away. She's very self-conscious, but Isagi is running for student council president and she wants other people's votes. This volume is more of a getting to know Isagi while also having Komi. So Komi's now helping Isagi, but it's mostly about Isagi growing and discovering that people don't hate her and she's unique, she's her own person, and she should just stand in her own personness, but also maybe give everyone else a little bit of a break and treat other people with a little bit of kindness and respect. This is the breather volume that I think we needed after the emotional roller coaster that has been the last couple volumes. I'm loving it and I'm excited to see where this goes, but this kind of allows the love triangle to just simmer a little bit without going anywhere. I feel like there's no need to just rush off to the races and see where this goes. The author's letting this simmer a little bit, letting everyone just breathe, and I'm assuming as the main character Isagi will be the student council president, or she's running to be the student council president. Whoever has that role is going to have some influence in the next couple volumes in the series because it's going to be the president of the student council, which is where they go to high school. So I think introducing that character and giving her some depth is also going to add to the next couple volumes, which I do like and I appreciate the author doing it. I really enjoyed this volume. I think it's the volume that we needed in between, and I'm excited to see where the series goes. If you've read volume 15 or have any thoughts and opinions on it, I would love to hear it. Otherwise, thank you so much for watching, and I hope you have a great rest of your day.
Hello everyone and welcome back to another book review. Today I am going to be reviewing volume 16 of Komi Can't Communicate. I read this in the ebook format, so this is just what the cover looks like, and this is by Tomohito Oda. So let's dive into volume 16. In volume 16, up to this point, or around volume 14, we started to sniff out a love triangle. Our main characters are Komi right here and Tadano. They've been friends since volume 1, but we have Manbagi, who's back here on a bike, who has entered the picture. So Komi is our main character. She has a communication disorder, which makes it very difficult for her to talk to people, leading most of her classmates to assume she's standoffish and cooler than them, but actually she wants to make friends. Tadano realizes this and reaches out and becomes her first friend, and they are now on a quest to make 100 friends. However, in the midst of the last 16 volumes, Komi has developed feelings for Tadano. One of Komi's friends that she made, Manbagi, has also developed feelings for Tadano, and now we're seeing where this little love triangle goes. Volume 16 has a couple events that occur. We have a sports festival, we have a cultural festival, we also get a little bit of sampling of the continuation of the love story between Komi's parents, which we've been telling. We see a little bit of Komi's dad and Komi's brother, who are also both quiet people, but the love triangle overall stays very static throughout the majority of this volume, except for the very, very end. So when you're reading through this volume, there's a lot of fleshing out of the story, of the characters that we already have, which I don't mind. I don't mind taking a pause in the love triangle because they've developed it. The author has developed it at this point, and just taking that time to focus on the other characters, which I like, but there is a big development in the very last couple pages of this volume, which is going to push the story forward. My cat is scratching the little collar. Volume 16 was good, and I think that they're taking a break, but I expect volume 17 to be very much focused on the love triangle, so I'm going to be excited to see where it goes, and I think if you've been enjoying the story, you're going to love where this goes as well. I like the cover of it. I especially like Najimi down here at the bottom. Of course, the subplots are interesting. The things that are going on in the story, the sports festival is interesting, the cultural fest is interesting, the class that Komi is in is performing a play, so I'm interested in seeing where this goes. The cultural festival isn't done at the end of volume 16, and there's been a big reveal, so stay tuned. If I were you, I would get volume 17 when reading volume 16 because of the reveal at the end, just so you could read both of them back to back, because otherwise you're going to be left on a huge cliffhanger. Another thing that I liked that I kind of theorized about volume 15 primarily focused on the election, the student council election with Isagi, who was a student who was running for student council president, and she wound up winning her election. And this was fleshing out this character that I suspected was going to play a role in a couple future volumes because she is the student council president. I suspected that the author wanted to flesh out this character because she would be appearing again and again, and I was right. She appears in this one leading the sports festival and a couple other times. So I think that having a volume to flesh her out and make her a character was a good idea by the authors. Point. I would probably give this volume a 4-star. We're just settling in, the love triangle's there, but there was a reveal at the end that made you think and keeps you intrigued, and it makes everyone ready for volume 17, which I do appreciate, and I'm excited to see where the series goes. If you've read volume 16 or have any thoughts on this series, I would love to hear it. Please leave your thoughts in the comments below. Let me know how you feel about the series up to this point. Do you like where it's going? Do you like the love triangle development, or are you more interested in the focus on the friends? I personally like both aspects. How do you feel about Manbagi? I actually really like Manbagi. I think she's a cool character and I want her to be happy. So I'm a little nervous about this love triangle, but I'm going to see where it goes. Let me know in the comments below what you think about this. Otherwise, thank you so much for watching, and I hope you have a great rest of your day. Hello everyone, and welcome back to another book review. Today I am going to be reviewing volume 17 in the series I've been reading, Komi Can't Communicate. I read this in the ebook format, so this is just the ebook I'm holding up here, so just so you know what format I read it in, and this is by Tomohito Oda. Volume 17. So at the end of volume 16, there was a very big reveal. In volume 16, the cultural festival is going on at the end of it, and the class that Komi is in has been tasked with putting on a play, or they've decided to put on a play, in which Tadano plays one character and Komi plays another character. There's actually 2 plays going on because there was 2 different stories that the class wanted to tell, which is kind of relevant because Manbagi is in the second play. But in the first play, it's Komi and Tadano, and they wind up having to confess their love to each other in the play, not in real life, but in the play on screen. And at the end of it, Manbagi suddenly realizes all the things click into place, that Komi has feelings for Tadano, and she is understandably a little hurt. At the end of volume 16, we see her starting to cry because she realizes that this boy that she has a crush on, there's another girl who has a crush on him too, and it's one of her good friends. So now it's a little bit interesting. Manbagi initially in volume 17 tries to hide it, but the volume 17 really should be called Manbagi and Komi Get a Clue. Tadano still has no clue what's going on because Tadano just, everything at this point has been going over his head. I don't think he really understands what's happening at this point. But Manbagi and Komi do. Komi initially immediately recognizes that Manbagi starts acting weird, especially after the play. And I feel like when you're friends with someone, you can tell when they're acting just a little bit off. So yeah, Manbagi is just acting a little bit off, and Komi decides to confront her and talk to her about it. And she winds up finding Manbagi crying in the staircase, where they both kind of confess that both of them have feelings for Tadano, and what are they going to do about this. Volume 17 is primarily focused on this love triangle and the thoughts and feelings of the 2 main characters, of 2 characters, Komi and Manbagi, and Tadano is just wandering around. Somehow, Tadano gets dressed as a girl again, which has happened in the past. This seems to be a reoccurring situation for Tadano, so he winds up having to be dressed as a girl. I think it was like something to do with the play that they were in, that he needed to fill in as a substitute because Manbagi was missing, because Manbagi was supposed to be in the second play, and Komi found her after her play, which was the first play, and now they're both kind of missing. But they need some time to hash it out, and basically what's decided is that they don't want to make a decision for Tadano, so they're just going to both continue to act nice around Tadano, I guess pursue Tadano, but just kind of let him make his own decision instead of one of them deferring or dropping out, or them also becoming really hateful towards one another, which could happen. I'm interested in seeing how this goes. I don't know how I want this to go. I mean, as a reader, you think the main title of the series is Komi Can't Communicate, so you think Komi should be the one who winds up with the main love interest, but I'm not sure. This is a love triangle. 2 of the 3 people now have a clue, but one of them doesn't have a clue, and it's Tadano, and it's the one that both of the girls are going after, so I don't really know where this is going to go, but all this kind of got aired out between the girls, and I kind of like the fact that in this love triangle, I'm not just cheering for one. I think maybe I have a slight preference towards Komi. Actually, I think I know I have a slight preference for Komi winding up with Tadano, but at the same time, it's not like I dislike Manbagi or I want her to wind up unhappy or anything. I want her to also be happy, and who knows how this story is going to know. Who knows where the author is going to take this. Maybe Tadano winds up dating a boy, maybe Tadano totally misses the memo and winds up dating another girl. We don't know what's going to happen, so I think that despite the fact that both these girls like Tadano might not have any interest in them, although I think he might. So we're gonna see, but volume 17 was primarily focused on fleshing out the girls' feelings for one another, well, not one another, for Tadano, and also their feelings towards one another, the decision that they would like to still be friends and that they're not going to step away from this conflict to save their friendship, but they're also going to let Tadano make his own choice about who he's going to date and when. I liked this volume. I think it kind of cleared the air between these and there was a little bit of movement, but I don't think anything's gonna really happen on the Tadano front for a while because this boy seems pretty clueless, but I'm interested in seeing what happens, so we're gonna keep reading. I do recommend if you read 16, you read 17 right away, just because that reveal at the end of 16 naturally leads to everything that happens in 17, so you'll wanna have both of these volumes next to each other. Other than that, like I said, I liked this volume, and I think if you've been reading the series, you will like it too. If you have any thoughts or comments on volume 17 or the series thus far, please leave it in the comments below. Otherwise, thank you so much for watching, and I hope you have a great rest of your day. Hello everyone, and welcome back to another book review. Today I am going to be reviewing volume 18 in the series Komi Can't Communicate by Tomohito Oda. I've been reading this series for a while and I'm really enjoying it, so let's talk about my thoughts on volume 18. Volume 18 comes after a kind of tumultuous volume 17. Volume 16 and 17 could be grouped together, entitled Manbagi and Komi Get a Clue. So Manbagi and Komi kind of come to their senses and realize that they both have a crush on the same boy, Tadano. Tadano is our boy on the front cover here, and then we have Komi right here, but they both have a crush on the same boy, and what are they going to do about it? Now, the girls decide amongst themselves after a very emotional volume 17 that neither one of them want to ruin their friendship with each other, and they also think it's not fair for one of them to bow out in deference to the other because they don't know who Tadano likes, so it's up to Tadano to make that decision on who he's going to date, but they're going to also kind of just continue on the way things have been and hopefully preserve their relationship with one another. Volume 18, at this point, both the girls are on the same page. Tadano's still in La La Land. I feel like doesn't really understand what's going on, but at this point in the series, we're in volume 18, there isn't any further movement in the love triangle besides the fact that everyone's in the same circle. Volume 18, at least in my opinion, heavily focused on the friendships or the friendship aspects of this series. It focused a lot on the characters that we've got to know and that have been introduced, and I really, really liked this actually because it's mostly just friends hanging out. We get to know about Naka-Naka's band that she's in. We get to know about just the people hanging out in the series and getting to know one another, which I do kind of like the balance because I feel like in life, if you focus too much on like your romance or your romantic relationships and you let your friendship suffer, that's not good either. So I do like that the series isn't just getting tunnel vision and focusing just on this love triangle between Komi, Manbagi, Tadano, and all the drama that's happening there. Instead, the series is widening its vision and also remembering to take time to think about the other characters. What are they doing? What are the friendships like? What are the what are the times that they're hanging out like? What's going on? What are their troubles? What are the things that they're worried about and they're working on? And what are their moments of just life in general, which I really, really like, and I do think this was a nice breather, especially coming off of volume 17, which was so focused on the love triangle. I think the series needed a little bit of balance after volume 17, and I like that the author didn't jump right back into the love triangle stuff and the romance and the drama there. Instead, it took some time to focus on some of the characters that we've known and love. One thing that I did want to mention is at the end of this volume, at least the ebook version that I read, there was a popularity poll that I guess was done, and I was incredibly surprised with the outcome. Predictably, I assumed that Komi was going to come in first place, which she did, and Tadano was going to come in second, which he did. Those are our two main characters, especially Komi, the main character, so it makes sense that she would come in first place with Tadano in second place. But I was surprised that Najimi wound up all the way in sixth place, because Najimi is one of my favorite characters in this whole series. He's just a funny character. He adds some humor to they add some humor to the whole series, and I just find it super, super enjoyable, and I like every time that they show up. And Najimi's had a little bit of a scandal during the cultural festival. They got in trouble for ticket scalping, and they're just generally kind of a little chaotic, which I really enjoy. I'm just surprised that they wound up all the way down in sixth place. They actually tied in points, I believe, with Naka-Naka, which I also like Naka-Naka, but I'm just surprised that they were so far down the popularity poll, because I would probably put Najimi as my third favorite. I'd probably do Komi, Tadano, Najimi, and then probably is it Hitomi? Yeah, Hitomi Tadano, Tadano's little sister, probably as fourth. So I was just surprised, and that was just something that was not really in the series, but at the end of volume 18 that I was just intrigued by. I would like to know where you think Najimi should place. Do you think Najimi placed all the way down to 6? Do you think that's accurate? Does everyone else hate Najimi? I feel like the people who I talk to who also read the series really like them, but I don't know, maybe they're not as popular as I thought. Obviously they are kind of popular because they wound up in 6, they wound up in the top 10, but I just expected them to be a lot higher in the top 10 as opposed to number 6. I really expected them to be 3 or 4. Anyways, if you have any thoughts or comments, please let me know in the comments below. Otherwise, thank you so much for watching, and I hope you have a great rest of your day. Hello everyone, and welcome back to another book review. Today I am going to be reviewing volume 19 in the series Komi Can't Communicate. I've been reading the series and really enjoying it, so let's talk about volume 19. Of course, that's Komi right there on the cover, but the first thing I noticed is how pretty this cover is. I love in fall when all of the leaves turn that bright yellow and you're standing in a woods and everything is just so bright it almost hurts your eyes. I feel like everyone likes that. That's not necessarily a unique characteristic, so I really like the cover. Komi Can't Communicate, volume 19. Let's dive into my thoughts. So the series thus far is that Komi and Manbagi both kind of have a crush on Tadano, this boy. Komi is a shy and quiet girl who is attending high school, and she's not really outgoing. She has a communication disorder and can't really speak to other people or friends, but she wants to. So very early on in the series, she teams up with Tadano, and then by virtue of teaming up with Tadano, also teams up with one of my favorite characters, Najimi. Najimi is this purple-haired individual back here, and they are on a mission to make 100 friends for Komi. Komi wants to have friends, but she's never had friends before because of her communication disorder where she can't really talk to people, or it's difficult for her to talk to people. And now 19 volumes into the series, she's making friends, she has friends, she still struggles to speak with people, but she's putting herself out there and we're seeing a lot of character growth. Plus, we have the developing romance between her and Tadano and one of Komi's good friends, Manbagi, who also has a crush on Tadano. So we have a little love triangle going on, and I think your feelings on volume 19 are going to depend on whether or not you're reading this series for the romance plot, or whether or not you're reading the series for the friendships, or whether you are reading the series for both. So the love triangle, which was introduced, I believe, around volume 14, has grown a little bit. We've had a few moments here and a few moments there, but the last couple volumes, and particularly volume 19, the love triangle story is kind of sitting on the back burner. Of course, because we know that these two girls have feelings for Tadano, and Tadano and Komi and Manbagi all feature prominently in the volumes. There's obviously going to be interactions. You can tell the girls like him, and there's a little bit of like awkwardness, or there's a few fumbling moments that make you remember, oh yeah, when you have a crush on someone, then you get really awkward around them sometimes. So we do see that aspect of it. However, there's not a lot of forward movement, as in the plot towards the love triangle doesn't really progress. However, I really like the slowing down of the love triangle aspect, which I am really enjoying that aspect of the book. I'm really enjoying the romance, or what I think is going to be a romance that develops, and I enjoy just slowing down and following the friendship aspect of the manga too. And I think it's just really important in life to make sure you have a balance between your romantic pursuits, but also maintaining friendships, because maintaining friendships is super important. And sometimes when people rush into maybe a relationship, or they're chasing after a guy or a girl, it can happen both ways. They tend to neglect their friends, which is not something you should do at all, because friends are a very, very important part of life. So I like the fact that we're getting to know people, we're getting to know Komi in her friendships, and the friendships are deepening. The people aren't just numbers and ticks on a page, but they're people that she interacts with on a day-to-day basis. In this volume, some of the fun little episodes that happen, Komi goes to a study sleepover at Manbagi's, which I thought was super cute. It was fun, just some girls hanging out and studying, and I really like that we're showing that the girls are doing stuff. Obviously, maybe a little boy talk comes up, not even about Tadano, I don't think, about some other girl and the guy that she likes, but they're just like hanging out and having a good time, which I really like to see. I like to see that the girls aren't just ditching all their interests and friends to follow whatever boy they're interested in, and I think the love triangle can simmer a little bit, because I want to see I want to see the tension build up a little bit more between them, but also I like seeing the friendship aspect of the book. So I think if you also like the friendship aspect, if you're okay with letting the love thing sit for a little bit, you're really going to enjoy this volume. Another thing that I find really, really funny is there's this group of boys in the class who like to get together, and at first they were just doing it informally at the desk, but now they have this whole secret ritual, this whole secret thing they're doing where they meet up and they talk fantasies about girls, but it's not like explicit fantasies. This book is only rated teen, so it's not anything too graphic. It's just like what it would be like to date different people. And Tadano has now been dragged into this group, and they're all sitting there with their, like, they have their heads covered so no one can see who they are, but I mean everyone knows who they are, and they talk fantasies about these girls that they want to date, but they never actually really are talking to these girls. They're just talking fantasies about the girls. Tadano winds up dressing as a girl again in this book, again. Najimi seems to get him in these binds, in these situations, and this happens again and again. I think probably because the fans like it, so the author is kind of playing to what the fans like. But if you thought those previous scenes were funny, then I think you'll like it. But if you didn't like those previous scenes, and you probably won't like that just because it happens again in this book. I kind of find them, well, it depends. Sometimes I'm like, this is just a ridiculous situation. In this case, it was kind of a funny, weird situation. But yeah, it was just fun time with friends. Tadano is there, but the romance isn't building. It's more about the friends and the focus on the friends and the daily life and stuff like that. So if you like that aspect of this series, you're going to really like volume 19. I really enjoyed volume 19, and I'm excited to see where it goes. I do think the romance is going to pick up again in the future. I just think the author's taking some time to let the relationships with the people that we've built, because we have been introduced to a large number of characters, build, and as a result, I think the payoff for the romance and also the relationships that Komi's built with everyone else is going to be deeper. That's my review of volume 19. Please let me know if you had any thoughts on this book or this series thus far. I would love to hear it. Otherwise, thank you so much for watching, and I hope you have a great rest of your day. Hello everyone, and welcome back to another book review. Today I'm going to be reviewing another entry in a manga series that I have been reading and loving, and that is Komi Can't Communicate by Tomohito Oda. I have been loving the series. This was a series that my sisters recommended that I read. My sisters, plural, both of my sisters recommended the series to me, and I have been loving it. I'm up to volume 20, so let's talk volume 20, my thoughts, my opinions, and what happened. The first thing I want to note, so that no one gets spoiled, is I am going to assume that you have familiarity with what's happened with volumes 1 through 19, or you don't care if I kind of reveal things that happened in volumes 1 through 19. If you don't want to be spoiled, maybe don't watch this video, or if you just want a refresher of what's happened, you can watch my reviews of all those volumes on my channel. So volume 20, this is what the cover looks like. I had this ordered in from another library, so there's a ton of stickers on it, but this is what the cover looks like. And yeah, we just have Komi enjoying some shrimp at a gathering, which actually was only a minor part of the story because things got sizzly in this volume. Well, not like actually sizzly, but like for Komi, this got a little interesting. So volume 20, we have been following Komi and her quest to make 100 friends with her at first an initial friend, Tadano. Tadano is there, he's trying to help her make friends, and now Komi has this wide network of people at school who she's hanging out with and who she is friends with. And all's well in the world. Komi likes her friends, she's hanging out with them, she's doing things that are outside her comfort zone, and she's growing and expanding as a person. In the process of growing and expanding as a person, she has developed feelings for Tadano, who has developed feelings for Komi back. However, there is a third party of sorts in this, or rather there's a love triangle, because one of Komi's now close friends, Manbagi, also has feelings for Tadano, and Tadano, I feel like, also has a little bit of feelings towards Manbagi, and we're going to get into that because that is a huge point in volume 20. So in volume 20, all of Komi's friends decide to go to a ski slope, snowboarding scope, that's a tongue twister, snowboarding slope. They're gonna go have some winter wonderland fun, basically. There's other little small stories, as there's other little things that happen in volume 20, but this is the meat and potatoes of this book. They go to this event, and Komi and Tadano are having their little, you know, they say something and they blush, and they say something and they blush, and oh, they have to sleep next to each other on the bus. But the drama and trauma really starts when the bus there's this mix-up right when the bus is leaving to go back home at the end of the day, and Monbagi forgets something and has to leave the bus, and Tadano goes with her, and of course the bus leaves without them. Oh, because now we have a problem. Initially, they're going to try to walk to a train station to take a connecting train to try to get back home. So they start to walk, but it's really cold, and Monbagi's phone is dead, and her charger's in the, like the bag on the bus. And then Tadano's like, I'm not sure which train we need to get where. So they just decide the best solution is to figure this out in the morning. They're going to go back, they're going to find a place to stay, they're going to basically throw themselves at the mercy of a hotel, and they're going to contact their parents and let them know what happened and just take the next bus that's going to come tomorrow and take them home. So now we have Monbagi and Tadano together, and of course there's some tropey things that happen, like there's only one room left in the inn, because of course there is, and they're kind of stuck together. So it's kind of this, I'm going to use some of the vocab I learned during February when I challenged myself to read a bunch of romance books. So it's kind of like a forced proximity sort of thing. Also that trope of like one bed, one room, like that comes up a lot in some of the romance books that I was reading. Not a big romance reader, but I did force myself out of my comfort zone and learned a little bit about the romance genre in February. So now I have some vocabulary to work with as things heat up. I feel like though, overall in this series thus far, the real mutual feelings have been between Tadano and Komi. So Tadano and Komi, I feel like both have mutual feelings for each other. Monbagi has feelings for Tadano. Komi knows that Monbagi has feelings for Tadano, but they don't want to get in each other's way, and they both are genuinely friends with each other, and they don't want to ruin this friendship over a guy, which I say, bravo. That's very mature of you, and that's actually a really nice thing to see in a book instead of two women, I guess, tearing each other's throats out over some high school guy. So I did like that aspect. I also think as readers, when we are presented with a love triangle, usually we as the readers can kind of tell which character the authors really want to wind up together. The author kind of gives clues or hints, or you kind of know which two characters are kind of the preferred way things wind up. And I have to say that this series kind of gives that away just by the title of the series, Komi Can't Communicate. I feel like we do have a main character that we're following. It's not Monbagi. So there is, I feel like, this kind of slight prejudice that not Monbagi, Komi and Tadano are going to be the ones that wind up together, if anyone's going to wind up with anybody in this series. However, Komi's very shy. They just kind of had like little moments or little exchange glances up to this point. Monbagi is a little bit more confident. She's a little bit more out there. She's willing to kind of maybe not directly confess her feelings, but definitely be a little bit more open with Tadano in a way that Komi can't. And during this time when they're forced together, Tadano, I think, has started to maybe develop a little bit more feelings towards Monbagi, because Monbagi is admittedly fun. She's a nice person, she's fun, she's energetic, she's outgoing, she is social, she's pretty, and there's no reason why Tadano wouldn't like her as well. And now I feel like we're in a situation, because us as the readers, or at least me as a reader, I really like Monbagi too, and I don't want Monbagi to be hurt either. I don't want Komi to be hurt, and I don't want Monbagi to be hurt. So now we have a situation in which, yeah, now I don't want Monbagi to be hurt, and now Monbagi is kind of putting herself a little bit out there. Of course, she didn't orchestrate this situation, but she's putting herself out there. She's being a little bit more confident and a little bit more social. She also is just a different person with a different personality. And while her and Komi are friends, they're very different people with different strengths, different skills, and different assets that they're able to present to the world, for lack of a better way of putting it. Like, they're just different people, and that's okay. They have different strengths. But I think the true love triangle has now come into form because Tadano was starting to develop feelings. Up to this point, I think he was a little clueless about the whole Monbagi thing. I think, yeah, he wasn't really totally with it with the whole Monbagi thing, but I think he's starting to realize that he might have feelings for Monbagi too, which really strengthens the love triangle and means things are getting a little serious and tense. And also it means that, yeah, this love triangle is getting a little crazier than it has been in the last couple volumes. I really like some parts where the girls are all talking about what happened on the ski trip. It just reminded me of being in high school and, you know, talking to all your friends about what happened at this, that, the other thing. That was super fun. I also think Tadano's little sister is one of the funniest side characters in this series. I think she's really, really funny. And I really like her interactions. Everything about her is funny, and every time she gets time on the page, I am here for it and I am loving it. Volume 20 was great. I have Volume 21 checked out, but I haven't read it, so I'm excited to read Volume 21 because, yeah, I'm excited to see where the series goes now that this love triangle is a little spicier, the tension has been turned up one tick of the dial, one turn of the dial. The tension has been increased, and I'm really excited to see where Volume 21 leads. If you have any thoughts of the series up to this point, I would love to hear it. Otherwise, thank you so much for watching, and I hope you have a great rest of your day.